Hey everybody, BrickFleet here, and today's video is kind of different. There is a channel called Uncle Tim, Uncle Tim's Reviews and Rants or something like that. I'll link his channel in the description, but he has a video that's very interesting, and it's called "Kids Are Done with Legos." I know Legos is not the correct way; it's Lego. I know this. The Look at all the Lego sets I have in the background. He brings up a lot of good points, and I think that we should really actually like listen to some of what he has to say. I mean, some of it is downright erroneous, but other parts of it from somebody who's an outsider from Lego, I think it's a valuable viewpoint to see like how people perceive the hobby from the outside looking in when most people like me or you or I'm assuming that if you're watching my channel, then you probably are pretty much in the know with Lego stuff.
We've been having a lot of people talk about Legos, saying Legos are the only thing that survived, this situation with kids not, dealing with toys anymore. Kids don't play with Legos any damn more. Adults play with Legos. Legos are a thing of the past.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm conflicted here because he says Lego is a thing of the past. Well, that's kind of phrased in a way that I don't think he said it in the way he should have said it, and that is the thing of the past for a lot of Gen Alpha and maybe late Gen Z. And I think that part of the reason why is because of TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all these social media platforms that, and a lot of digital like media like games and stuff like that. That's obviously going to impact the way that the sales are for the toys. And not it's not just like a problem with Lego. This is a problem with Mattel. This is a problem with Hasbro. All the major toy companies that have to deal with competing with digital market.
What's happening with Legos is a lot of the resellers are killing the actual hobby.
That is a good point, actually. That is actually a really good point. That resellers. So that's a confusing story because back in 2020 we had this problem with, and this is a new problem because I've been around this hobby for, geez, I don't know, since 2009, 2008, 2007. I don't know, somewhere around that era is when I started collecting, and basically I haven't ever seen scalping in Lego as much as I did in 2020. In 2020, we had this situation where people would predict which sets would be the most sought after, especially during times where like the release dates, like August 1st is always a major Star Wars release date. Nowadays, not as much more. I think they split it up. It's August 1st and September 1st now.
It's dying. Legos are dying right now. I walk down a Lego aisle no matter how many times I go to Target or Walmart and it's empty. There's nobody in it. You may have somebody that probably shopped before I came each time, but it's very rare that I see anybody in the Lego aisle. I'm serious. The things are overpriced. You got $20 and $30, $100 sets, $200 sets. Who the hell is buying that? No.
So that is a pretty good point too. Basically, a lot of the Lego sets now, I'm not sure if he's in the loop with this, but the price changes that happened, I think in 2021 or 22, there was major price increases that happened for most of the Lego portfolio, and a lot of Star Wars sets were affected. I think like for example the gunship, I believe it was 300. It went up to 350. So it got pretty much a 20% increase in price, which or 20 to 25% increase in price. And I think that's not as much to do with Lego having some sort of malice or feeling like they're doing it on purpose because they think that they can get into the deep pockets of adults. And I think it's more like they ate up a lot of the costs associated with producing sets.
Put it like this. With all the scalpers and reseller buying up all the clearance, putting it on Amazon and eBay, these companies have realized, hey, we could sell them for a higher price. Again, the reason why these sets are going on clearance is because nobody's buying them. Those Mario sets, them clearance real hard, excuse the language. Those sets went on clearance so fast that I couldn't even believe it. It was like your head was spinning. Each set, I was looking at the flipping accountant and he was breaking down everything, and I'm like, man, see, this is what I'm talking about. You think you're doing good, but you actually hurting the hobby.
So yeah, I mean, it's inconclusive right now. For Lego at least, I don't know if more price increases on top of the already announced price increases for the sets that were already uh, put out had been affected as much as excusing it with, oh well, adults have deep pockets, so let's charge them more, or we can get away with charging them more. That is heavily debatable, and I don't know if that's 100% accurate.
You go to Goodwill or the thrift store and you realize that used box of Legos, like a particular set costs $35 and it's used and it's taped up. And you sitting there like, I don't even know if the pieces in there.
I mean, again, anecdotal. I'm not sure. It really just depends on the set. There are tons of sets, and a lot of them have different price values, and some of them worth more, some of them worth less. Like if you look at Agents, Agents is basically worth, I think, negative value besides the squid from that one set. Those kind of like it really just depends. Star Wars always goes up unless it's the sequel trilogy. A lot of other themes like for example power miners went up in price, and I think that's partially my fault. I don't know if that's completely true though, but I do know that there was a lot more activity during the time when I was promoting a lot of the power miner stuff that I was talking about. I mean, I really do love power miners. I don't know if you can kind of see it back there, but you know, it really just depends on the set. It's not every set that's worth a lot, and I think he did mention like it could be like $35 for a used set. 35 is a blessing compared to a lot of the prices that you see now for sets. And I think I don't know if he mentioned it in this video. I think he might have mentioned it in another video that a lot of action figures and these model pre-built toys, um, their price ranges are from 10 to maybe 50 at maximum, and 50 he's saying is like pushing it. For Lego, of course, we know that 650 is pretty much the upper limit. Maybe 750, somewhere around that price range, tends to be what the giant collector sets tend to go for, which I think some people think is insane. But if you get used to Lego prices, then you won't be shocked anymore by prices of other collectible stuff. But then again, I have no experience with other collectible stuff. I only collect Lego.
And if the shit is sitting there and it's sitting here, it's letting you know that stuff over there don't go on clearance. You get what I mean? It rarely ever goes on sale over there. But here, you looking at it, that company did some restructuring. That company laid off a lot of people. That company laid off some of the sculptors, the designers, some of the artists. They laid off a lot of damn people. And guess what? They're trying to compete with this online market now.
So there's two huge things to bring up here. So first of all, with the layoffs, um, actually no. I don't know what date he's referring to, but with the layoffs, I know specifically that the only time that something major like that had happened was around the time that Lego was shrinking in early 2000s, and I think late 90s, early 2000s, when they had done the whole strayed from the brick type situation. And that was a big deal because Lego, for the first time ever in decades, was not financially secure. And part of that was just because of the whole, they were making too many toys, different lines, and some of them were not even close to what the actual Lego brick looks like. And their new rule from then on was that most their products, except for I guess Bionicle, uh, should look like the original Lego product. Um, but yeah, and they and as for layoffs in recent times and not from 20 years ago, they're actually expanding. They're not laying off people. From what I've heard, they're closing their office in Enfield, Connecticut, but they're opening a new office in I believe Massachusetts. I don't know where. I think Boston. Oh, I believe it's Boston. Yeah. So in Boston, they're opening a new headquarters, moving people who choose to want to move to Boston, and people who do not want to move, they can go through Lego and find new jobs that are not at Lego but can transition to somewhere else. So they're very like understanding of those types of things. They're not an employer that, at least in recent times, they're not an employer that's just gonna kick you to the curb just because they're not making their profits this season. They're not making everybody around them suffer over it. And I think a lot of other companies like Hasbro and Mattel and all that, they do that. So yeah, least of your worries, I think, for that.
They hitch their wagon to that. You know, they hitch their wagon to every damn thing. You know, Ninjago, Chima, which was a Thundercat situation, but they couldn't get the license or something like that, and it fell through. And they end up doing the Legends of Chima or something, the hero, whatever, Chima. It was just crazy, man, how all of this situation works itself out.
So IP licensing is basically what he's getting at. IP licensing is nothing new. Lego's been doing it since 1999. Actually, I have a video from last year actually that I made about the first ever licensed theme, which was Star Wars. And Lego getting the Star Wars license was huge for them, and it was a big play because it basically was one of the, not the sole contributing factor, but one of the factors that raised them out of the troubles of the early 2000s they had. And I think that is a super interesting point, though. And Chima, I guess, yeah, I actually looked this up before, but surprisingly, he is right that it was supposed to be a Thundercats licensing thing, but that didn't happen for some reason, and so they ended up making a standalone theme, which is nothing new because Ninjago is also an original theme. Chima is an original theme. A lot of the failed themes from the mid 2000s, all the rapid fire themes that we had, like Mars Mission, we'd consider it a failed theme. Power Miners, Atlantis, Space Police, they were good. They were really, really good themes, and I like them personally, but I know that that's not going to appeal to everybody. They were very specific. I don't know. I don't know. They were just very specific things that didn't captivate everybody, and obviously they didn't work enough. But right after the failure of those themes, 2011 we got Ninjago, and Ninjago has been basically the baby of Lego for the golden child for the last like 10 years. And I mean, I probably would say this about the same way I say about Ninjago, the way I would say about any other theme if it just happened to come at the right time. That, like, let's say Space Police happened in 2011. I really do think that part of it is not because Ninjago itself was interesting because of its story and characters and all that. I think part of it was mostly because the recession. So the recession was like 2000, what, 7 or 8 up to like 2009, and you had the whole housing crisis and whatever, all that stuff happening. People didn't really have Lego on their minds at the time because they were foreclosing on their homes. or they were losing their jobs, or whatever else tragic thing was happening at that time. And if Ninjago had come out around that time, I don't think Lego would have seen those sales. I honestly don't think. I think Lego would have canceled it the same way they canceled every other theme in the early to mid 2000s. It's simply just a timing and luck situation since then. So yeah, that's about pretty much everything that was relevant to Lego in that video. If you want to check out the guy's channel, I'll link it in the description. No hate or anything. I just kind of wanted to reveal what my thoughts were about the his opinion from an outsider perspective, looking in, because really got to just remember this. There are people out there who don't know all that much about Lego, and it's always good to see what they think about the hobby from their perspective. But anyway, this has been BrickFleet, and I'm signing out.